October 29th, 1929. Black Tuesday. The stock market dropped by 12% in a single day. Fortunes vanished in hours. Banks collapsed in waves. Businesses shut down. By 1933, 25% Americans had no job. Breadlines stretched for blocks. Families who once owned homes were now living in cardboard shacks and Hoovervilles. What am I supposed to tell the kids? That's okay, Jeff. Tell them we'll figure it out. We always do. They didn't figure it out. Not for a long time. Their kids grew up thinking full meant not hungry enough to cry. So Franklin Roosevelt came in and threw everything at it. Public works, relief programs, new agencies, big government on a scale America had never really seen before. The New Deal put millions back to work building bridges, dams, and highways. And to be fair, it helped. But it did not finish the job. 10 years after the crash in 1939, unemployment was still hanging around 15%. Yet, suddenly, we interrupt this broadcast. The Japanese have attacked Pearl Harbor. The United States is at war. And overnight, everything changed. Factories that had been gathering dust roared back to life. But now they were building tanks instead of tractors. 17 million new jobs appeared. Ford's assembly lines started rolling out bombers instead of cars. Defense spending rocketed from 1.4% of GDP to over 37%. Unemployment dropped below 2%. Jeff got called to the Cleveland tank plant. For the first time in years, his family had a steady paycheck. And just like that, on paper, America looked incredible. So later, Keynesian economists took one look at this and said, of course. When people stop spending, the government spends for them. World War II proved it. Case closed, right? Wrong. Let's test this so-called wartime prosperity. It's 1944. Jeff's family sits around their kitchen table. We're out of sugar coupons until next month. Again? And the meat allocation got cut. 2 pounds for the whole family. For the week. Well, at least according to the newspaper, we've never been more prosperous. Great. I'll tell the children to eat the newspaper. This was the reality behind the numbers. Yes, GDP was soaring. But Americans were living under some of the strictest rationing in U.S. history. Gasoline, meat, sugar, coffee, cheese, even shoes, rationed. Car production had been banned since 1942. By 1944, almost everything was controlled except eggs and dairy. Americans were saving over 25% of their income. Not because they'd all suddenly become financially responsible. There was basically nothing to buy. That's the trick. The wartime boom was a statistical illusion. GDP goes up the same $10 million whether a family builds a house or the government builds a bomb and drops it into the sea. Same number. Very different outcome for the family. Jeff was earning more money than ever, and his family was eating less than when he was broke. But the real test came after the war ended. 1945, the guns go quiet, 10 million soldiers are about to flood the job market, government spending is about to drop over 60%. Holy crap. Without government spending, we're looking at the greatest period of unemployment and industrial dislocation any economy has ever faced. That's a bold claim, Professor Samuelson. I will literally win the Nobel Prize. Write it down. I resonate with you, Professor. I'm predicting an epidemic of violence. And you are? Also, a future Nobel laureate. You're welcome. Gentlemen, I am President Truman, and I also say mass unemployment is obvious. It's coming. So everyone agrees? Without government spending, America collapses. They were completely wrong. Bomb factories became appliance factories. Car plants switched from tanks to Chevrolets. Shipyards pivoted from destroyers to fishing vessels. Over 20 million people were released from war-related work. Unemployment peaked at just 3.9%. Truman himself later called it the swiftest and most gigantic changeover that any nation has made from war to peace. The economy didn't just survive the spending cuts, it thrived because of them. Resources locked inside the war machine flowed back into making things people actually wanted. The Keynesian prediction was tested in real time. It failed, but nobody updated the textbooks. So if the war didn't fix the economy, what did? To answer that, we have to go back to the moment the real damage started. 1914, World War I. Countries are mobilizing millions of soldiers, digging trenches across entire continents, building battleships, artillery, uniforms, all of it, all at once, on a scale the world has never seen. All of it costs money. Enormous, staggering amounts of money. Now normally, a government funds a war the same way it funds everything else, taxes. But there's a limit to how much you can squeeze out of your citizens, especially when half of them are already in the trenches. Tax revenue runs out, the treasury runs dry, and the war isn't over. So, what do? Well, just print it? But there was a problem. Back then, most of the world was on the gold standard, which meant governments couldn't just print whatever they needed. Every dollar, every pound, every franc had to be backed by actual gold. So, one by one, they ditched it. Gold standard, gone. Then the war ended, but the printing did not. Countries kept printing money to make their currency cheaper, which makes their exports cheaper. Other countries buy more of your stuff. Sounds great, until everyone figures out the same trick. France devalued. Britain devalued to undercut France. Germany printed so aggressively that a loaf of bread cost 200 billion marks. A housewife in Berlin needed a wheelbarrow full of her life-saving cash just to buy groceries. A race to the bottom. Every country destroying its own money to steal trade from its neighbors. In the end, nobody gains an advantage. All you're left with is money nobody trusts. World trade collapsed by 66% between 1929 and 1934. Bad time for the economy. Good time for the sponsor break. Right now, your AI workflows are scattered across too many tabs, and you're likely paying multiple $20 AI subscriptions. ChatLLM by Abacus.ai fixes this by putting every top-tier model into one single dashboard. I'm talking about ChatGPT 5.2, Gemini 3 Pro, Claude 4.5, and DeepSeek all in one place. You don't even have to choose. Their Route LLM Navigator automatically picks the best model for your specific prompt, but it goes way beyond just chatting. You can chat with large PDFs, generate professional PowerPoint presentations, and even use the Abacus AI agent to build full apps and websites from scratch. If you're worried about sounding like a robot, their Humanize feature helps you ditch AI detectors entirely. You get all of this, plus image and video generation from Sora 2 and Kling 3.0 for just $10 a month. That's way cheaper than paying for them separately. Stop overpaying and start building smarter. Head over to chatllm.abacus.ai/CCY or click the link in my description to get started. Trust me, your browser tabs will thank you. Back to the video. People were starving, humiliated, and convinced the system is broken. So they became very interested in any man standing on a podium, promising to fix everything. Germany chose Hitler, Italy chose Mussolini, Japan chose military expansion. The path from a printing press to a battlefield was shorter than anyone imagined. So by 1944, delegates from 44 nations gather at a giant hotel in New Hampshire and finally figure out the way to fix the economy. It is called the Bretton Woods system, and their solution was almost offensively boring. Every currency gets pegged to the US dollar, and the US dollar gets pegged to gold. $35 an ounce, fixed. That was the anchor. Now, if a government got a little too excited with the printing press, there was a limit, a hard stop. No more turning your currency into confetti just to goose exports for 6 months. And for the first time in decades, money meant something again. Take Friedrich in post-war Germany. His city is rubble. His father's machine shop is half destroyed. But now the money in his pocket is tied to a money system he can actually trust. So he takes out a loan, rebuilds, hires, expands. Multiply Friedrich by millions. That's the miracle. Germany boomed. Japan boomed. France boomed. Countries that had just been flattened by war came roaring back. Why? Because underneath all the reconstruction and industry was one boring but essential foundation: stable money. Money with an anchor. Money politicians couldn't casually print. That was the real cure. But the system still has one fatal flaw. Bretton Woods told every country on Earth, tie your currency to the dollar. Trust the dollar. But it never answered one question. Who watches America? If France printed too many francs, the peg would break. If Japan got reckless with the yen, markets would punish them overnight. But the United States was the peg. America could spend money it didn't have and force the rest of the world to accept the bill. For a while, America behaved itself. Then came the 1960s, Vietnam, Lyndon Johnson's Great Society, a war overseas, and a welfare state at home. Sir, can we afford both? Why should we? We can just do it? And so America flooded the world with dollars. Yet, the gold in Fort Knox stays the same. So now there were way more dollars floating around than gold to back them. And one man looked at this arrangement and said, "This is nonsense." Charles de Gaulle, president of France, realized that if every country tried to cash in its dollars for gold at once, America would run out. So he decided France would not be the idiot standing at the back of the line. He sent ships and planes to America in 1965 and said, "Bonjour. We would like to withdraw our gold. You print more dollars without more gold behind them. The dollars the rest of us hold become worth less. That is robbery with better tailoring." Other countries started getting the same idea. By 1966, the US had just $3.2 billion in gold to cover $14 billion in foreign dollar claims. In 1971, West Germany left Bretton Woods entirely. Britain requested $3 billion in gold, a full-blown bank run. Except the bank was the United States of America. So on August 13th, 1971, Nixon gathered his top advisors at Camp David. No press, no Congress. Just a room full of men staring at numbers and sweating. 2 days later, Nixon interrupted millions of Americans watching television and announced, "My fellow Americans, effective immediately, the United States will suspend the convertibility of dollars into gold. This is a temporary measure that will probably last forever. Thank you." That was it. The gold anchor was gone. Every currency in the world was now backed by nothing but a government's promise not to print too much. So how did that go? Gold, fixed at $35 under Bretton Woods, hit over $5,000 by 2026. Within 2 years of Nixon's move, the oil crisis hit. Inflation surged, growth stalled. Economists were so confused, they had to invent a new word for it: stagflation. Then came 74, 79, the savings and loan crisis, the dot-com bust, 2008. Every decade, another mess. Every mess, the same solution: print more. And every time somebody questioned whether this was sustainable, someone would drag out the same old line. While World War II proved government spending fixes the economy. No, it didn't. But the myth survived because it was useful. If people believe war spending created prosperity, then deficits sound smart, printing sounds necessary, and every crisis becomes an excuse to do more of the thing that caused the instability in the first place. As a wise man once said, there is no subtler, no surer means of overturning the existing basis of society than to debauch the currency.